Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining me. This is the morning market review, and it is Thursday, the 20th of July. My name is Russell Shaw. I'm a senior market specialist at FXCM, and my email address rshaw@fxcm.com. Just going to go ahead and bring up our disclaimers, and I'll start off with the high risk investment warning. I'm just going to keep this on screen for a few moments. Apologies, I don't have a camera this morning, but we should have it back tomorrow. Hey Kim, good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you for everyone signing in this morning. It's much appreciated. All right, let's bring up the market commentaries disclaimer. And just our references, MarketScope 2.0 and TradingView.com. I'll bring up MarketScope first, and let's just go through to the US dollar. Let's start with the US dollar, and we'll do the Forex pairs. I want to take a look at Tesla and Netflix as well, just to see what the charts look like. They did release overnight, and I think the earnings were a little disappointing. All right, let's use TradingView for the time being. My market scope is being finicky. It's been finicky the whole week. Let's go through to US dollar here. Okay, and let's put on the watermark so we can see that we are looking at the US dollar. And what I want to do is I want to start off with just our labels. When I say the labels, peak and trough, I like starting with the peaks and troughs so we get an idea of the trend. Now we're on the weekly time frame, so we've got the peak, we've got the trough, we've got the lower peak, and we've got the lower trough. Now we've seen this before. This is the definition of a downtrend. It comes from Dow theory, and it's really stood the test of time. And you can see that we have some blue. This week there's a blue candle that is starting to show. And if there's some blue in a downtrend, well, that's potentially exploitable. It's potentially exploitable. In other words, we may have a rally in the downtrend. Okay, so I've just gone back to MarketScope here, and here is that weekly chart. It's interesting where the stochastic is. The stochastic's in no man's land. If we have lower peaks, lower troughs, and the stochastic drops into that lower quintile, I would say that the downside pressure on the greenback is going to be immense. And if there's downside pressure on the greenback, then of course I would expect a continuation of lower peaks followed by lower troughs. But given that some earnings are coming in now that are disappointing, just keep an eye on the dollar as a safe haven. Okay, I just want to see if there is some sort of safe haven activity, and maybe that's why we are in no man's land for the time being. If we go down to the dollar chart here, I mean the daily chart here, what we're looking at is the dollar in zone 3. That's the lower blue, lower red. Here's the suggested bounce in the downtrend, and what I'm looking for is to see if there is some sort of resistance here that allows us to come in on the downside. There is, bearish crossover over here, and we have got the stochastic in the lower quintile. Now, keep an eye on the central pivot. Okay, the central pivot over here is the obvious resistance area. If the resistance here starts bringing sellers in, then I want to see a moving average, or the two moving averages, start developing angle and separation to the downside. And what I'd like to see is I'd like to see the stochastic hang out under 20. And the under 20 here is actually, for me, the most important part, because it's effectively telling us the strength of the underlying bearish momentum. Now, I just want to explain to you the stochastic readings here. Can you see the stochastic moves between 0 and 100, so between 0% and 100%. Our particular stochastic reading is over 15 periods, but you choose what you're comfortable with. There's really no magic number here, and I've slowed it down by 5 periods. But what I want to stress is that 0 to 100. What are we looking at in terms of a 0 to 100? The stochastic is effectively looking at range. It's looking at range. So if I just bring up Microsoft Paint, consider it this way. And I'm hoping this drives the point home of why I think the stochastic is such a good indicator. And then we're going to come back to the US dollar. Take a look at a candlestick. A candlestick typically has a range. Okay, it typically has a range. If we're looking, I'll just put a little sort of tick to the left for an open and a little tick to the right for the close. This is a bar chart, right? If we wanted to make this into a candlestick, we'd just give a real body like that, and that's our candlestick. Now, what the stochastic is looking at is range, 0 to 100%. 0% meaning the low, okay, and 100% is effectively the high, over, in our case, 15 periods. And what you want to take a look at is you want to see where is that stochastic sitting, relative to the 0 to 100. Well, here we're sitting under 20. Can you see that? We're under 20. So if we go back to Microsoft Paint, and let's go back. And if I told you that the close for this particular bar is in the lowest 20% of the range, okay, and I'll ask you, is this a bearish or a bullish looking bar chart? We've got a close that's in the lowest 20%. It's weak, okay? It means that the close is near the bottom of the range. That's what stochastic is, okay? So when you take a look at the stochastic, we are in the lower 20% of the range. The longer we stay there, the more bearish the momentum, okay? So keep an eye on whether we can stay below 20%. Take a look what happened when we were below 20% last time. There was tremendous downwards momentum. When you've got the stochastic in the upper quintile, that's the top 20%, you've got bullish momentum. The longer it stays in that upper quintile, the stronger the underlying momentum. The longer it stays under 20, the stronger the underlying momentum. What's the difference? One is strong momentum to the upside, and one is strong momentum to the downside. So let's just look at this again in terms of our top-down analysis. Our weekly chart is showing a downtrend. Momentum on the weekly chart is in no man's land, but the trend itself is lower peak, lower trough. Let's go down to the daily chart. The daily chart here, okay, shows zone 3, and we've got that rally in the downtrend. Go down to the hourly chart. Here's the resistance we're keeping it. Here's the momentum, and we don't know, okay, it's an unknown whether we're going to stay in that lower quintile. But what I can tell you is that if we stay in that lower quintile, then we should get some sort of swing to the downside. And if we're getting some sort of swing to the downside, okay, then you can take a look, say, at your euro and see if your euro is moving in the opposite direction, if there is some sort of swing to the upside. So let's just go through to euro US dollar now and see the top-down approach here. Now take a look. We are tending towards the strong momentum area. This is on the weekly chart. We do have a higher trough followed by a higher peak. So it's the opposite trend to the dollar. Okay. Go through to the daily chart. We are sitting in zone 1. That's the upper blue, upper red. So it's a mirror image, right? It's a mirror image of dollar. Go down to the hourly chart, and here is where we want to test the support. Which support? Well, the logical support would be the central pivot. Okay, if the central pivot holds as support and the stochastic holds in that top 20%, and we develop angle and separation with the EMAs, then we are potentially seeing that swing start up again in euro US dollar. I will concede, if you take a look at the daily chart, just over the last 5 days, there has been very average volatility in the euro, very average. But keep an eye on, if we hold in that momentum, if we're holding that top 20, so we are in the top 20, take a look at the swing. That's where the magic happens. Let's just take a look at pound. Pound came down quite heavily yesterday. Similar analysis, and then I just want to have a quick look at Tesla and Netflix. Okay, so let's just bring up the cable pairing. Just while that's preparing, there we go. Let's go through to weekly. Now, what happened with pound US dollar is that the inflation came in softer than expected yesterday. But yesterday we did take a look at that relative inflation outlook between the UK and the US. It's still skewed on the UK side. We've got the uptrend, the higher trough followed by the higher peak. We've got some red in the downtrend. In other words, is this the proverbial dip in the uptrend? If we go down to the daily chart, okay, I think we're going to have to rework this. We're going to have to extend this green line here and see if we get some sort of movement up here. So we have dropped, unfortunately, from zone 1 into zone 2. There is support at this level. How do I know there's support? Well, just take a look at the tail from yesterday. So there's buying support. Again, we can go and take a look at the H1, the hourly chart, and we didn't get the bounce yesterday at the pivot, but we have got some support coming in here at the S1 level. So again, let's just keep an eye on the support levels, see if the support levels hold. It all is a cause effect. If dollar comes down, look at euro, see if euro is going up. If dollar's coming down, take a look at cable. Is cable moving up? So proverbial dips in the uptrend for euro and pound, rally in the downtrend perhaps for US dollar. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the charts of Tesla and Netflix. So what we'll do here is we'll go back to trading view. We'll just put in the Tesla ticker. All right, so this is a very interesting chart. I did take a look at Tesla recently. It's quite interesting if you take a look at it from a monthly point of view. Let's just normalize this, make sure it's on logarithmic. Yeah, it is. This is a strong looking chart. Okay, you can see that there is, now we on the monthly, we even are on a higher time frame than the weekly. Take a look here, trough, reference peak. Okay, take a look at the higher trough here. And let's just bring up the higher peak. Okay, so you can see that, let me just correct that, HP. So you can see on a monthly basis, a really good looking chart for Tesla. And go down to the weekly. Again, I don't see anything wrong with this chart. I would suggest this is sort of a flag pattern that played out, and the breakout. I'm just trying to get the parallel line here. There we go, there we go, there we go. Okay. And you can see that after the flag breakout, it moves up nicely. Let's just take a look at the trade yesterday. And you can see some red coming in yesterday. And I'll just go through the Bloomberg note that Tesla fell in late trading after saying profitability shrank in the second quarter. And the hits are likely to keep coming. Elon Musk said the company will probably keep slashing prices of electric vehicles if interest rates continue to rise. Okay, so profitability shrank. I think that's the key takeaway. But they're still pursuing an aggressive pricing strategy. Okay, they're slashing prices on the EVs, so they're trying to really capture market share that way. The longer-term share price does look constructive. All right, let's take a look at Netflix. So we'll just put in the ticker there, NFLX. We'll do a top-down analysis here as well. And again, I would say this is a constructive-looking chart. It's very steep. It's very steep. So there's definitely been a lot of buying. If you have to put in your peaks and troughs, put in your reference T for trough, put in your reference peak. Once you've got your references, well, it's clear that we've got a higher trough here. Again, we're looking at this on a longer term basis, really zoomed out here onto the monthly chart. Here's your higher peak. Okay, we go through to the weekly. I think this is a good looking weekly chart, a little bit more granularity. And then we'll just finally go down to the daily chart here. And Doji coming through yesterday. The problem with Netflix is that it projected third quarter revenue that was short of Wall Street estimates, suggesting a crackdown on password sharing and its new advertising tier aren't yet delivering the sales growth analysts anticipated. So we just want to keep an eye on it. The results disappointed investors, and what we have is a doji, and we'll see how these two stocks trade today. Probably some sort of downward pressure. If there's downward pressure, keep an eye on that dollar and just see if it's being utilized as a safe haven today. All right, that's as far as we'll go for this morning. If there's any comments or questions, please go ahead and type those in. Any comments or questions, please go ahead, type those in. Okay, nothing coming through. Let's wrap up here, guys. Have a great day ahead, great evening. We'll chat tomorrow. I should have the camera up and running tomorrow. Thanks very much, guys.